Oh, well, welcome back to New York Wedding Jam, the podcast for modern couples. I am your host, Martine Dardniak, joined by my co host, Jason Alisea. Jason, how's it going?
Hello, Martine. What is going on?
Not much. I was hanging out with my sister earlier today. It was fun. We went to get massages, one of my favorite things to do, part of every vacation. I think I've mentioned that before. So we have a sister day annually, and that's what we choose to do.
Oh
So,
my God. I love massages. You have no
yes,
idea. Well, you do have an idea.
I do. I
But
do.
yeah, I get them I get them as much as I can, as much as I can afford to get them.
I
But
hear you.
they are the
I,
best. They are the best.
one of the things that I try to plan for as I get massages is what I'm going to wear, since you're about to get out of the thing,
Yeah.
in order to do this. And I will say that probably ties in fairly well to today's topic of choice, the wedding attire do's and don'ts.
Right.
So
I
let's
think
get
this is
into it.
yeah, this is a much safer topic than talking about massage, attire, do's and don'ts.
For sure. For sure. That'll definitely be a little bit a
More
bit more
more
palatable.
G-rated. More
Yes.
G-rated, right. Yeah, so we wanted to talk a little bit about wedding day attire, some of the things that we've seen, some of the things that we recommend, some of the mistakes we've seen our couples make, and some of the great things that we've seen our couples do, and some of the things that we, of course, do to help you on the day.
Yeah.
But why don't I let you start, Martine? I think we're both excited about this episode, but
You know why I'm
what's
excited
we
about
want to go
it?
back and forth, like you do one and I'll do one. We go back and forth like that or something.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
You know why I'm excited about it, Jason, is just because like I see so many things go wrong, and I try, I keep my cool and we don't talk about it, but there are things that I'm like, wow, we can do better, y'all. And so like I felt like this was a really important one. So one of the things that I've seen is um, bridesmaids in particular coming with their dress as if they had never seen it before. So like ripped, wrinkled, doesn't fit, stained, etc. So one of the things that I just recommend now in general when I send out reminders to the wedding party is like, please try on your clothes before the wedding day like one more time, especially if it's something that you got like a year ago or like 6 months ago even, right? Like sizes change, like you don't know what happens, you don't know if there was a defect in the outfit when it got delivered. So it's just probably general good practice for everybody, and this is not just bridesmaids but just everybody, like try your clothes on before you show up. And that's my biggest recommendation for everybody is like, please try it on. So at least if there's an issue, it can be resolved efficiently before the wedding day.
Yes, and I'm if I can just jump a little bit, add on to what you say. I'm going to take it a step further, especially for men and suits. And I'm going to talk a little bit about suits in a minute, but just, yeah, try on your clothes before the wedding day. But I would also say you shouldn't just try it on once.
Mm,
And for men, I'm going to say that you should be wearing your wedding suit for a few hours. And I don't mean a full 8 hours, right? So your wedding day, you might be in your suit for 10, 12 hours. Okay.
right,
Say you're putting it on at 11, ceremonies at 2 or 3, party till 11, maybe 12 hours. Okay.
right.
And this is a suit that you probably have maybe just worn once, you tried it on. Same thing with your shoes. You've worn these shoes once and they're brand new. And so what I'm saying is you may want to break these things in, right? You don't want
Yes.
your wedding outfit to be a costume. You want it to feel like an extension of you. And
Right.
so the way to do that is to, for men, I know it's a little different for women. I'm not sure. I can't speak for women, but I know for men, certainly you want your clothes to represent you, represent your brand, your vibe, your style, but you don't want it to be a costume, right? This is not a Halloween party. This is your wedding day. You want to feel comfortable and confident in your clothes. And the way to do that is to get used to them, get familiar with them, and
Right.
to wear them for maybe a couple of hours on one day, then maybe another hour for another day. Maybe sit on the couch and watch your favorite show on Netflix wearing your wedding outfit. You don't have to go outside and ruin it and step your shoes out on the street, but just wear it around your house for several hours in small increments so that you get to feel what it feels like to wear this outfit and so that you're more comfortable on the day of your wedding.
That's fair. I think it is a little bit different for women because we're used to being clearly uncomfortable in our attire. I think that's generally true. You still do want to break in your shoes for sure. If you're going to be wearing new shoes, you do want to break those in. I think that's true for everybody. I never wear shoes that I haven't broken in at least, a little bit before having to wear them all day. It is important to probably also have a backup pair of shoes for the women. I would highly suggest having a second pair of shoes that you can slip into, say after ceremony or for the reception, whatever makes you happy. But if you're going to be wearing uncomfortable shoes for 10 to 12 hours, you might regret that decision if you don't have a backup that is planned for you.
Right.
So I'll put them right under your seat, at the sweetheart table if you want me to. I've done that many times for people, or just again ensuring. Nowadays though I've had couples buy shoes just for the photos, and like they'll take a few pictures with them and then put them right back in the box, and they're like, nope, I'm wearing my comfortable shoes for the rest of this. If you're going to be standing for ceremony, you just need to know, and I think you do need to be aware of the impact of your clothing and what it's going to do to you on the day of. It is sort of similar in terms of like the wedding dress, because you do want to know, for example, if this thing is super heavy and you're not used to wearing really heavy clothing, especially if it's in a season where heavy clothing is not the norm, like if you're wearing a super heavy gown in the summertime and like you weren't expecting to be hot, like things like that you just might want to know in advance of your wearing it. So I concur completely that it is a good idea to try it on, wear it. You don't want to get it dirty, so I'm not saying eat in it or anything, but at least try it on and wear it so that you can get used to how it feels on you, so that you're ready for that.
Absolutely.
The other thing that I would say is, I've seen many people just not be prepared for how long it takes to get in a wedding dress, and it is not your typical gown most of the time, right? Some dresses are easier than others, right? So it's not every dress, but knowing your dress and knowing what the impact of that is. So, for example, I've had dresses take an extra 30-40 minutes to button the dress up, right? Like, and if we didn't plan for an extra 30-40 minutes, like you're missing something during that time slot while we're trying to get you into the dress. Or I've had guys not not realize that they don't have pockets or buttonholes, and we have to like unthread their pockets and buttonholes in order to actually get this thing to do what they need it to do. Like you want to use those cufflinks, but you can't use the cufflinks if we're not actually prepared to have a hole where we think the cufflinks are supposed to go.
So this reminds me of a story of a couple that I had a few years ago where I was preparing the father of the bride and the brother of the bride to do a first look with their daughter and brother and sister, right? So I was going to mic up the brother and of the bride, and I was trying to open the threads on his jacket, on his breast pocket, so that I could put a microphone in there. And the father was pretty much about to grab me by the throat because he thought I was going to ruin his
Oh
son's
no.
suit. And I tried to explain to him that all suits, most suits,
Most
come,
suits.
with the pockets sealed, and that they are able to be opened. And he thought that if it comes closed, then it's not supposed to be open, and that I was ruining the suit.
Yikes.
And so I had to get around it and, you know, work around that, but yeah, he was not aware, and so I couldn't educate him in the moment. Um, but you know,
And that could have been prevented. Let's be honest, that could have been prevented with brother having tried his clothes on and realizing that pockets didn't pocket,
yes,
beforehand.
yes, and so for men and their clothing, one thing that I this is a do and a don't. I guess it's hard to kind of keep on this theme of do's and don'ts. So I'll give you a two-way. I'll give you the don't do this. Here's what you should do. Don't buy a suit. If you're a man getting married, don't buy a suit off the rack and just wear it, even if it's the appropriate size. Okay? So if you're a 42 regular jacket and you are a 34, 32 weight in pants, just because those pants fit you, technically they're your size, that jacket fits you, it's your size, doesn't mean that you're going to be the best dressed man in the room, and you should be on your wedding day. You don't want a suit that looks so boxy on you and so baggy. You don't have to have the tightest fit, but the do is do have your suit tailored, right? So within each size, you may be a jacket 42 regular, but within that size, men who are built to wear that jacket may have slightly larger shoulders, may have a more V shape to their body. And so it's important to have a tailor, a professional tailor, contour your jacket and contour the pants to your body to make it fit your body. Uh, and that's the way a suit should be worn. You shouldn't be wearing it off the rack just because you have the correct size jacket and pants.
That's a valid point that I don't know that I really thought about that, because on the ladies' side, all of it is tailored, right? Like, so basically all of the dresses are custom. You could technically get a dress off the rack, but that is rare, I think, on the ladies' side, to get a dress that just off the rack that you're going to wear. And even if the ladies are wearing a suit, like, I've never seen a lady suit that just came, that they would just wear like that, right? Like, so they're always going to get these things tailored to them anyway. And I think we're much more used to doing that, at least for wedding day, for sure. Even on the bridesmaid sides, right? Like, the bridesmaids dresses almost never come that you're just wearing the thing that came off of a rack someplace, right? They're typically custom order. And so I think it's one of the things we've always had to deal with and know, right, and are prepared for on the lady side. But I think one of the dues that I will add for the ladies is keeping in mind that there are costs to tailoring, right? And that depending on the size that you have chosen, that you will have to spend some money to get this thing to fit properly. I think a mistake that I've seen a lot of people make is getting the wrong size. For example, I'm going to get it a size smaller because I'm sure I can lose the weight by then. Don't do that to yourself, right? Like, that's just setting yourself up for failure and spending more money to get the dress tailored appropriately. Or I've also seen it go the reverse, right? Like, I'm going to get a size bigger just in case I grow into this size, and same problem, right? Like, that you still end up having to tailor the dress. So just get one that fits, and then do your best to kind of maintain weight accordingly, as much as is possible.
Yeah. So should we let me move on to another, because I have some fashion tips and things, but I want to just talk about groomsmen, okay? And I have a friend who's a stylist, and we talk about this all the time, because the groom may have gotten his suit tailored,
Right.
okay? He may have he might feel comfortable in his clothes,
Right.
uh, but oftentimes the guys that they bring along are not committed at the same level that the groom is in. And
100%.
so you need to anticipate your party's needs. So, for example, if you want your your groomsmen to wear bow ties, like original, true, classic bow ties that you have to tie, you need to have either a video ready or someone there who knows how to tie a bow tie. If you suspenders are another thing. Sometimes if you're wearing a tuxedo, suspenders are something that don't use clips. Suspenders that go with there's a certain if you're wearing a tuxedo, which many people often do for a black tie affair, they will tuxedo pants have buttons built into them. And so the kind of suspenders that you might have worn as a child or even as a grown man for different events, those are not going to be the types of suspenders that you wear. You're going to have specialized suspenders that have buttonholes at the bottom of them to attach to your pre-installed buttons on your tuxedo pants. So things like this, things like cufflinks and making sure that the cufflinks, like you mentioned earlier, that the sleeves have holes to accommodate the cufflinks and which way the cufflinks go, as well as a bow tie and other accessories. You just need to kind of have those things in mind to have your guys ready to get dressed in an efficient way. Because I've seen, oftentimes it's said that the girls are delaying things, and it's oftentimes the men because they can't get their bow ties together, because they don't know how to put on suspenders and other pieces of formal wear. So have some type of plan in place to either educate them on the scene, perhaps send them a video, they're probably not going to watch it, or have somebody there who knows how to address these issues. I'm
Or
often,
just be ready, I think, at that
yeah,
point. So a lot of times, typically I have an assistant that is with the ladies. I do offer the possibilities that if the guys want it, we can also have an assistant help the men get ready. Some people have opted into that and some people haven't, right? So it just depends on which guys I'm dealing with at the time. But be prepared, right? Like, because it isn't necessarily just like, oh, they're just going to show up and they're going to be, we'll get dressed in 5 minutes and be ready to go, right? Like, there may be more to do than that. So just be ready for whatever it is and know your guys, right? Like, know your audience, I guess is the best way to put it, and know whether or not they may need some assistance getting into their clothing.
absolutely. Admittedly, most men do when it comes to formal wear, and we're not just talking your, khaki pants and sports coat that you wear to church on Sunday. Dressing formal wear is slightly a little bit more advanced and requires a little bit of knowledge. It isn't difficult to learn, but if you've never done it before,
Right,
it takes you a minute. And when you have
right.
5, 6, 7, 8, 10 guys in a room trying to figure this out, and they're all it's like, it can be difficult. It can be challenging. So don't leave your guys in the dark. Do a plan for them to get dressed efficiently.
Yeah. I think on the lady side, like I said, the one of the things that takes up a lot of time later on in the day is bustling the dress. So not all dresses are the same, and not all bustles are the same. But there's usually a trick to it that if you ask when you go get your last fitting for your bridal gown, they usually will tell you. And so I've taken to just telling people to, like, just get a video of it and go with somebody, maid of honor, mom, sister, whatever it is, go with somebody who can watch the people at the store who are doing this so that they have the right idea of how this thing gets put together and the way that it's supposed to sit, because they don't all sit the same, right? And they don't all bustle the same way. And it's one of those things where it sounds like it shouldn't be that big a deal. And listen, I've done it many times, my assistant's done it many times, but it's going to take a while if we're trying to figure out which bustle does your dress match, right? Like which methodology are we using to get this thing together? Or if, for example, you actually, and this has happened, in transport lost a hook or two, right, to the bustle, or kind of like the thread didn't hold together the way that it should. And then we're trying to figure out something that actually doesn't work at the time, and like no one wants to admit it, right? Because they don't really want to talk about the fact that we actually pulled it because it got stuck on something else. Or I've seen one mistake I've seen is people trying to put their veil, which is often very intricate but gets stuck on stuff a lot, with their wedding dress. And so now like they're trying to like detach these things, and pulling happens, and pulling may cause some tearing. So just keeping those things in mind, that it's a good idea to make sure that you're keeping everything as neat and tidy as possible so that you don't run into some of those issues.
I gotta tell you, I'm pretty decent with men's formal wear, but when it comes to bustling a dress and I see that it's time to do that, I admittedly
You walk out?
I run the other way, and it's not because of a modesty issue. I just get so anxious and overwhelmed by when I see them touching all those hooks and things. I'm just like, I'm out of here. I can't deal with this. This is too much. Give me a bow tie. Give me some suspenders. I'll fix you up. I can
Meanwhile,
even
I'm
put in
like,
your boutonniere, but I'm not touching a dress.
I cannot help you with a bow tie, right? I can probably help you with a traditional tie if you need it, but I cannot help you with a bow tie. I've got nothing. And so like, I guess it all depends on what you've been accustomed to. The bustling we will do, right? Like we will, if we've got to do, like I've done it for people. As long as I know what I'm dealing with, I'm ready for you, and I will be ready to help you if necessary on the day of. So I've bustled many a dress at this point. It's always entertaining for sure. And like I said, it's fine as long as everything works the way that it's supposed to, but it doesn't always. And so
You know what? Maybe what I'd like you to do, Martine? Can you share with the audience, especially if there's a bride out there who's early stage getting ready for her wedding and doesn't know what it means to bustle a dress? Can we do a little glossary here? Because it wasn't until not recently, but like a few years ago that I was like, what does bustling actually mean?
Yeah, so a lot of wedding dresses, not all, but a lot of wedding dresses have a long train, which means basically the back of the dress is very long. Think Princess Diana walking down, the aisle, right? There's a lot of material behind the bride, which is awesome for pictures, so a lot of people like the look and the effect of it, but you can't walk around all day like that. So what a lot of wedding dress designers will do is have a way for you to basically fold it up, if you will, and that's what we're calling bustling. Basically attach the bottom of the dress to a second layer on your dress so that you can walk around without tripping over all the extra material. And so that's really what bustling is trying to do. Every dress has a different bustle. And so like when we say the bustle types, like some people do buttons, there's French bustles, there's what I mean, like there's sometimes it's button hooks as opposed to buttons, and like it just depends on how they've designed it for you. But it is really essential that you know what you're dealing with, because the thing is, it's not just like we're just pulling it from the top to the bottom and hoping that works, right? Like that's never how that works. It's so in order to get it layered in the right way so that it sits appropriately, meaning not only can I walk with this now, but I don't look silly and it doesn't look bad once it's actually up and bustled the way that it's supposed to be. You have to know where all of that extra material is going. So that's part of the please ask and make sure that you know, and if at all possible, go with somebody so that they also know how the thing works.
Yeah, I mean, if I were a dress designer, I would just create some kind of Velcro thing where you just kind of go up and just stick it on. I mean, come on, make these things easier. Why do they have to be so complicated?
But think about just that statement. You just said that guys have to go in and get their suits tailored, okay? How would it look if we were just like flipping this thing up? Like, you got to make sure that we're not like seeing any of the undergarments below hand. We got to make sure that it actually comes up off the floor and that the dress actually still sits nicely on you. It's a lot of work. And I mean, listen, I'm not a dress designer by any stretch of the imagination, but it is quite a bit of work to make that thing work. Now, again, the simplest thing to do would be to find a dress that doesn't require bustling, right? And so if you go in that direction, you're probably the safest, if there is no bustle required. But I would say 9 out of 10 cases there will be a bustle required, and so you should be prepared to do that.
I think we should go into business together and make a Velcro bustle.
A Velcro bustle?
Yeah.
No, I mean, then what happens? Then what happens if the Velcro doesn't actually stick? Which
Oh
happens,
no, we're
right?
talking high quality. We're not talking Trapper Keeper Velcro. We're talking high quality, creme de la creme,
Velcro.
NASA space grade Velcro.
No fan. What I couldn't understand is like, couldn't we figure out how to do it with like not like the just like the button hooks, if you will, but like an actual button, like a metal button? Can't we just get like, I'm just gonna press it in and that's it. That's all that I need to do. Press, 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 and have it done. Never works that way though, unfortunately. So I
I'm
hear
good
ya.
with buttons. I can do buttons, like the push buttons. Yeah.
Yeah, the push buttons. I think all of the bustles should be push buttons. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
I have one more do's and don'ts. Actually, it's a don't. It's a don't.
Okay, go for it.
So, we're talking about attire, but really this can be expanded into grooming, right? And so attire is part of your appearance. So I want to talk about, and this goes for women too, even though I've been doing mostly men's stuff. And I think women probably know this a lot better, but I'm sure there are some women that don't. And that is no new skincare routines very close to the
100%.
wedding or vastly different haircuts. So when it comes to everything that's going on up here with your face, you don't want to, let's talk about skin for just a quick second. You don't want to be trying out any new skincare routine that's going to have an adverse effect on your skin, that's going to break out, make you turn red, or dry your skin, or make you too oily, or make you different than you normally are, right? So
Right.
any kind of skincare or makeup thing that you're doing, a skincare for men or makeup for women or skincare for women, is meant to enhance the natural chemistry of your skin, enhance your appearance, your beauty, your good looks, right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to have something that changes that in an adverse way, right? You want to be recognizable on the day of your wedding, and this goes to the haircut as well. And sometimes people, guys that wear very long hair, sometimes their wives will want them to cut it, and they show up to the wedding with very short hair, and maybe they're unhappy with the haircut, or people don't recognize them
Yeah.
as the friend they've had their whole lives, and they're standing up there getting married, and it's almost, who is this person, right? So
Right.
you want to avoid, don't do new things with your grooming so close to your wedding that there isn't time to recover. If you want to experiment with new haircuts, make moderate changes in the months approaching your wedding. If there's a new skincare routine that you've seen and you'd like to try it, let it happen several months in case the worst thing happens and your skin needs to recover from that. So
Right.
just be careful with your grooming and what you're doing to yourself in anticipation of your wedding. Otherwise, your pictures and videos will not look like you.
You might be upset, right? You might be very upset that something made you break out, or something. You know what I mean? Like something it turned you red or splotchy, or had an allergic reaction to something. So I definitely agree that it's probably the way of wisdom to try it. I think with the like on the lady side, if you are getting a hair and makeup artist, typically they will offer a trial, and I always say, please do the trial. Like, try it. Try how it feels to have the makeup on all day. Try how it feels to have your hair in that style. Make sure that you like it and that you're ready for that on your wedding day. A hair and makeup artist will also have, and we'll do a whole other session on this piece, but hair and makeup artists will have a bunch of tips that they will give you. Like, follow the tips, right? Like, make sure that you're taking it into consideration so that you can be your most comfortable and most beautiful on your wedding day.
Yes. Well, I think we've given them enough tips and enough stories to move forward. Now that we've frightened everybody.
I know. Well, hopefully it was helpful to some people out there. And Jason, we'll catch up on the next one.
Okay. Bye, Martine.
Bye.